My name is Andre Marcel. I'm the co-chair of the Young Artist Academy and also the founder of A&B Publicity. We work with the Emmy Awards among other clients. We have some amazing folks from across the industry. So we're going to hear some of their insights and secrets, you folks out. So to introduce our panelists, first we have Chris Ryan of Christopher Ryan Marketing. And then we have Lauren Bertoni from the Actors Comedy Studio. You can wave as
Hi, guys.
Good job. We have Tom Brumpton from Polymath PR. He's from the UK.
Hey, guys. How are you? Good to see you all.
And we have Rebecca Eck from Eris Talent.
Hi, guys.
And we have Samuel Warren from Samuel Warren and Associates.
Good morning, everybody.
And we have Michelle Koshman from the Young Artist Academy and A&B Publicity. And we have Kim Matuka from Schuller Talent.
Morning.
I think that's it. So to start off, let's just take each of these entities, each of these pieces of the industry and find out how they work. Maybe Tom, if you're okay, we can start out with you.
Yeah, sure, of course.
You're a publicist and parties, and that's the key, the gatekeepers of all the connections. What does a publicist do in the industry?
A publicist's core job is ultimately to get their client in the media as wide and as much as possible. That can range from print coverage through to television interviews, radio, podcast, online. There's a pretty wide berth there in terms of what PR can do in terms of gaining extra coverage for clients. Another aspect of the job, obviously, is ensuring that we help build an interesting story around the client to make sure that we are positioning them in the best light possible, that puts them forward in an interesting and inventive way, while at the same time speaking firmly of the message and really getting across what it is they want to say to the world.
So you would need to understand your brand to effectively communicate that message. Does the publicist help the client understand the brand, shape the brand, maybe even create the brand?
Yes, absolutely. That is definitely something that a PR firm, that a publicist would help with. Ultimately, when we would start with a campaign, start working with a client, start working on a project, we would look to go through your existing brand to see where it is, to see what kind of shape it's in. And then as we're kind of building on that, we can look to see, okay, well, this is what you want to achieve. These are the kind of people you want to be talking to. Let's start crafting that narrative a little bit clearer so that it's really reaching the kind of people you want it to reach, but it very emphatically speaks of who you are, and it's a very accurate representation of your voice and of your work.
Well put. A lot to digest for someone who's very good. Excellent, Tom. We'll come back. We'll explore this some more, but this is just kind of a short version of what each entity does. Let's go to the talent agency. People here, okay, we have agents, managers, publicists. So when you're talking about the agency, Rebecca, what role does the agent play, or the agency?
So we represent clients, and our job is to get clients. Our job is to get clients jobs or opportunities for a job. So we submit to, of course, casting directors and sometimes directors and also producers. And we just pitch clients. So we also work really hand in hand with managers, which I love. Kim's actually one of the managers I work very closely with. And we work as a team to get our clients seen by casting directors, and then of course getting feedback or asking what they're looking for, etc. So, and then also we negotiate the deals once they get the offer. So we negotiate for more money, always, we try to, and we do all the legal contracts with them. And sometimes we hire an attorney, but we don't always. It just depends on the situation.
Excellent. So did you hear that? They negotiate the best rate for you. So get a good agent. Like
yes,
Rebecca.
Always.
All right, so you mentioned some other two key players in what you said there, the manager and the casting director. Let's first go to Kim on the management side. What does a manager do, and how does that differ from an agent?
Well, a lot of times managers tend to discover actors at a very younger age, where we're molding them and getting them the proper classes and getting them headshots and getting them ready for an agency to basically love the actor that we're submitting, and they could go straight to casting and start auditioning. But what Rebecca was saying is very true. We work very closely with agents. We work with the team. We build, and we try to really develop them as much as we can. And we're also there, as their therapist, and we're there 24/7 for them. So we're there to really guide them and get them to the next level.
So a manager might start even earlier than an agent.
Yes,
They're
yes,
still going to work through the whole process, continuing to shape.
exactly.
Excellent. It's important that the manager and the agent get along, right?
Yes.
They will talk all the time.
All right. We'll come back and explore these points some more, but let's move on to another big gatekeeper in the industry. Samuel, what role does the casting director play?
Well, the casting director, as everybody knows, is hired to assign talent to specific roles, and not just one actor, but an ensemble of actors that will play off of each other, that will bring the script to life and make it believable as it is being viewed by the general public. The casting director is a heavy gatekeeper. Unlike most casting directors, I like to read tons of people because I'm always looking for that diamond that's hidden.
You've been in the industry a long time, 30 years or so.
38 years. 1982, I started. I worked with David and Bill Lytle, who were location casting directors for Return of the Jedi. And I worked on my first project was a movie of the week for ABC. I've learned a lot of things. And as my colleagues can tell you, we're always learning, always trying to help talent to be in the forefront that needs to be in the forefront. Because it's a tough business. Even if you have all your ducks in a row, it's a very tough business.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick, kind of a little nuance of a difference that you explained that was interesting maybe to our viewers here. What's the difference between a casting director and a casting agency?
Usually a casting agency is another form of it's almost, they have a license to represent those extras, and those extras are a part of their pool. Whereas a casting director, we don't represent any talent. Now, there have been times when, I'm hoping I'm not stepping on any toes here, there have been times when some casting projects have managers who are managers and casting directors, and the lines are blurred there, but sometimes it puts another agent or another representative at a disadvantage, because they say, well, if this person finds that my talent is wonderful, will they steal my talent? Most professionals in this business, we don't steal people. We don't steal clients. In fact, we talk about each other's clients and we try to help each other's clients. But normally the casting director is strictly assigned to a particular project to really stand in the stead of the director, because what we see and what we approve of, we send to the director. Whereas the casting agency represents a lot of extras. Normally that's what that is.
Wow. Lots of things we could pick your brain on, Sam. Good job. So before we even get to the point where you've secured a publicist, manager, agent, you're in front of the casting director, there's definitely something that has to happen well before any of that. And we come to Lauren with that. What role does an acting coach or your studio, how do they help a talent?
It's great. It's the first thing that I always say to actors is training and patience, right? Samuel said, this is a hard business. So as an acting teacher, I try my hardest to encourage actors to be patient and train and become as competitive as you can with your skill set in order. So when your agent and manager do get you those auditions in front of casting directors, you're undeniable. They can't say no to you. So I work with my business partner, Gunnar Robacher. We own Actors Comedy Studio, and we are the world's only sitcom acting and writing school. So we focus on comedy, which is 30-minute, half hour, anything that's scripted on television. But those skill sets of audition technique, now that the world is changing, we've got self-tapes and Zoom, everything in this business already moves and evolves so quickly, but now that we're living in a different time, the before times and the after times now, right? So we've actually transitioned our entire curriculum to online Zoom classes, which is great for everybody in the world because now you can get Hollywood training wherever you are. And it wasn't too difficult for us at all. It was actually quite seamless because what we do is on camera audition technique anyhow. So I do work on character development, like Tom was saying earlier, knowing your brand. I teach actors how to research and figure out what their brand is, right? We deal with archetypal characters. That also coincides with getting headshots, like Rebecca was saying, or maybe it was Kim. So, it's all a complete package, and your team should get along. They should communicate well. You do want to have an acting coach or somebody that can help you, and also do your research on who you want to be your acting teacher. For me, I chose to be an acting teacher. I asked for this position. It wasn't a fallback for me. And I'm also a studio teacher, right? So when you book jobs as a minor in California or anywhere in America, because you could be somewhere else and maybe they don't require them, but we have child labor laws. So until you're the age of 18, you'll have a studio teacher there to enforce those and make sure production is providing you with exactly what you need depending on your age, right? And also a teacher, so I teach academic subjects as well. So it's interesting that I have these two careers, but it gives me such great real world experience that I can then bring to my classroom and share with my students, which is a lot of do's and don'ts, a lot of how we book jobs. And so that's in a nutshell what I do, but having a teacher and getting training is super important. And I'm sure everybody on the panel would agree that, training will then provide the opportunities for you to then book work.
I agree 100%. My clients always have to get training. I always want them constantly in coaching and training constantly.
And Rebecca too, there's always, and even if you're a professional working actor, you still can be working out the muscle. I always try to equate it to being an athletic, training like an Olympic athlete, right? Olympic soccer players don't just train once a month or before they have a big match. They work on it every day. So that is something that I try to instill in my actors as well, to continuously do this every day, and also to never give up, right? Because it is competitive, but if you don't give up and you stay with it, things can happen for you.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that, because training is not something that you just do to get good and then you're good, and then you don't need any more coaching.
No, Andre, I tried to play soccer last week and I almost broke my leg. I mean, there's just, I haven't done it. I don't know who I think I am. Or like doing a backflip. I wouldn't just go do a backflip that I thought I could do when I was 10. I don't think I can do that anymore, but it's a valid point. And yes.
And you've worked with some big brands like Disney, right? You've done some projects? Sure.
Yeah, I work all the time. I mean, my last show, I work on American Housewife, which is on ABC. I work with Julia Butters. She's an amazing little actress. One of my acting students' success story, her name is Lexi Underwood. If you haven't seen, she's in Little Fires Everywhere with Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon. She plays Pearl, which is Kerry Washington's daughter. I've taught Lexi acting since she was, I think, 9 or 10. And she would come in as a little peanut and just be Miss Lauren every Saturday. Teach a kids acting class every Saturday, and she would just be in tears. She was auditioning for pilots, just no. And her mom was like, please talk to her. She's just devastated. And I know how that hits you. It's painful. We are emotional creatures as actors, right? So I finally said to her, I said, Lexi, it's okay. This just wasn't your job. It's fine. You made a fan of the room. Casting will call you back. You were a young, beautiful, professional, hardworking actor. And when she's, then 15, books the role of a lifetime for her as Kerry Washington's daughter. I mean, give me a break. So, but she stuck with it and continued training and working, auditioning. And so anyway, I work all over. One of my other shows was The Big Show on Netflix. So I've been doing this I may seem young, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And I've seen a lot. And I also walk into my classroom with a lot of encouragement, enthusiasm, and support for my actors, because when you're learning, you need a safe environment in order to try things that maybe don't work. And that's okay. But we've got to explore them to figure out what does work, right? So, yeah.
Good stuff, Lauren. And you got good energy. So I'd want to work with you.
I want to work with everybody. I love this. This is great.
Okay, so here's another couple interesting pieces of the puzzle. Chris, you've been called the gatekeeper of Sundance and all events that are good.
Okay.
But you're also doing marketing. So what exactly do you do?
So basically, I help brands and agencies, build buzz through events and influencer marketing. So I provide brands opportunities to like sponsor things like Oscar parties or Sundance Film Festival events, or help them, create their own pop-up events. And then I also help them with their relationships with influencers and celebrities by doing brand deals with those two entities.
Okay, that's very interesting. So if a client or an actor, musician, whoever we're talking about in entertainment is interested in aligning themselves with a brand for a sponsorship deal or to be a spokesperson.
Right.
What is a brand looking for?
I think what a lot of them are looking for is who your audience is. So so the key is that they want to, if your audience demographics match what they're looking for, you're probably going to be able to pull off a deal with them in some way. And then what else they're looking for is probably people who are brand safe. Safety seems to be a big question now. They don't want issues where the influencer or celebrity is doing stuff that makes them look bad, and they have to go explain.
Yeah, even in the distant past, stuff can be dredged up.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I'm constantly looking at when I meet with influencers and talk to them and stuff like that. I'm just constantly looking at who they are and who their audience is, and a lot of times I'll be asking for screenshots of their demographics, because a lot of it's some of those demographics are not available, or they're just guessed. And I like to get brand specifics.
Very interesting. So once a personal brand has enough value, Chris is the guy.
Yeah. And then the event world, I do, a lot of the events, a lot of the bigger Hollywood events reach out to me to find money to pay for their events. A lot of these events, are not, since no one pays to go to like any type of party, Hollywood party, it's all being paid for by sponsors. So if they need more dollars to pay for the event, then I go find it. And I usually do about, maybe 50 to 60 events a year.
Excellent, Chris. Yeah. You've got the connections.
Yeah.
So then to kind of educate some of these people that might be new to this, in that situation with some sort of a brand or sponsorship deal, who among the representatives would help facilitate that deal? Who would negotiate that?
So it depends. A lot of times it might be, it's a lot of different titles. So it could be a brand manager. It could be for somebody that for just an influencer deal, it might be a digital manager or a growth manager or growth VP. Sometimes it's the publicist. So sometimes influencer marketing is done by the PR department, not the advertising side. It just really depends. And so I'm constantly looking, like, I know I have some influencers reaching out to me and they say, hey, we want to work with this brand. Can you help us find the right person to talk to? And I'm going through my list and figuring out who's the right person. And it does take a bit, but I also found that it's kind of easy. Sometimes you can cut to the chase by just contacting them on Instagram. Like whoever's running the Instagram account might know who the right person, inside the company is to do like brand deals. That's usually, how I recommend. If you don't have a manager or agent that's reaching out on your behalf and you're doing it yourself, that's probably the best way.
Right. But just to kind of reemphasize that, so that's your side of the picture. And then Kim, from a managerial perspective, you're also reaching out in certain cases, right?
Oh yeah,
sponsorship.
I mean, we have a lot of actors. We have some top social media stars, and we try to find brand deals for them all the time. So we do reach out to different people and kind of try to get together. And like if one of my clients loves, wearing Dr. Martens, then we'll reach out to Dr. Martin and try to brand that in with them because that's what they love to wear anyway. So why not get paid for it? So we try to really put the dots together and try to make the best out of it.
Right, because the manager is looking at the overall picture of the career.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to come back to that, or maybe this is the time to do that. That it's very important that the publicist, the manager, and the agent really work together and understand their roles. Sometimes in the industry, there is friction, and there shouldn't be, because we all have our different niches, and we're all working towards the same goal.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I agree.
I agree.
Andrew, can I say, sometimes in casting, this becomes an issue, as my colleague was saying about how he goes out and tries to help influencers. We are sometimes approached by clients and asked, who do you know, what spokesman or influencer can be in this commercial, in this project? Sometimes in casting, and I know we haven't talked about this, but they want a certain number of followers behind that actor. The problem that we have in casting is, even though they have millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers, that doesn't make them a good actor. But a lot of times they want, like if I put this person in my project, he or she is going to bring those followers into the theater or on television or wherever this thing is going to be platformed. And that is now an intricate part in casting. So a lot of times, three things. The talent today has to be very careful, and my colleague mentioned this, that the client that hires them will not be offended by their past post or way of doing business. Like if they were caught doing something controversial, we need to know that before we cast them. Because the worst thing you can do is hire someone, spend all this money creating an image and an idea, and then now you can't barely use it because the talent isn't reputable, or they've done something in the past.
Right.
I think it was Warner Brothers that let one of their actors go because of something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Be
Yeah.
judicious in what you
difficult.
post.
Absolutely, 100%. People don't
It's
think
difficult.
sometimes when they post.
I know, and
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, we're all we're not perfect, we make mistakes, but we're living in a society that's very unforgiving right now.
Right.
And so sometimes the agent and the manager doesn't know, so you almost have to ask the client, what kind of Instagram do you have? What kind of, all these Facebook, what have you been posting? Because they can't just post anything. Branding gets in the way if it's not properly done in casting, because we're afraid to hire the wrong actor. And then my client looks at me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is true, because anytime we get a booking for a series or a feature, the first thing I do is, okay, let's go through your social media. Let's delete what's inappropriate. You're 18, you're 19, or you're 21, but you're being cast as a 16-year-old. Take off all the alcohol photos. You don't need to be partying. Take this off, take that off. So
Yes.
we delete pretty much half of their social media because all those posts are just inappropriate. So we just try to really fine tune that. And thank you for saying that, because that's so true.
Yes.
Or girls posting also in bikinis or other things, and then Disney's looking at them for a project, and their stuff is way over sexualized. They have to be careful with that too. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the parents are not monitoring a lot of their kids' social media, because some of them may not understand it themselves. And that's a disadvantage. I have a question to the agents and the managers. Is it becoming more of a norm for you to ask about their social media before you sign them, since so many people are using it?
Well, I personally, when I do look at reels and I do look at submissions, I go through their social media. I want to know who they are. I want to know if they're wild, if they're crazy, if they're timid. I like to know more about them, because if you go through their social media, you get to know them. You get to know their personality. You get to see if they're just normal or just way out there, or if they're funny, or, you know, it shows a lot of personality, especially with TikTok these days. So it actually is interesting. And it's, I mean, I have a client that's up for a series right now, and they didn't know that my client's one of the biggest social media stars in the world, you know, with your family channel having over 1 billion active views within the past 2-3 years. And my client has probably over 12 million followers, and she's only 10. So that added to like, wow, you know, I'm like, hey, by the way,
that's a plus.
You know that they have over 1 billion views, and the cast director was like, wow, that's amazing. And now she's getting closer.
It can enhance.
It does
enhance.
help bringing in, you know, viewers. But I mean, we had to go through that social media.
Andre, could I looking at that more and more?
Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was just, we're talking about some good things here, and we had a couple questions come in that are speaking to this. So I'm wondering if I could integrate those.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, someone was saying that, you know, a lot of people are influencers, but they're saying, what would be the first steps in getting an agent and a manager? So they have no show business experience prior. What would be the first steps?
Just to reach out, just to send us an email. We actually have on our website, there's a way to submit, and we usually go through there, or one of our assistants will go through and look, and just, you know, always when you submit those, submit a photo and a little bit of your background and bio. The kids aren't expected to have a lot on their bio or a lot of training when we first sign them per se, but we need to see photos, we need to see personality, as Kim said, and maybe if they have an Instagram and they have followers or influencers, send us your links, because that does help.
You know, Samuel actually said something completely dead on. You know, just because you are a huge social media star doesn't necessarily mean you're talented. So I would kind of, you know, think about, you know, in the past, if your child's been in a neighborhood school play or something, and if people actually come to you and say, hey, you know, your kid's really good, and, you know, if strangers actually tell you that your child's talented, then that's actually a good intuition for you to maybe possibly follow through and, you know, see if your child does have talent. But just because your child's in social media doesn't necessarily always mean they have the gift to act. And at that point, if they don't, then you need to go training, get into that and see if you could get some other feedback from
acting classes
from
Lauren
to help you mold what you have and bring that out.
Yeah, come on over and I'll fix all your problems.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
That is not a problem. And I will say, just like a quick plug, because of COVID and things that have been happening, our school, we have so many free workshops, of smart headshots. We've got writing classes, acting classes, just free classes for anybody. And then we also have dropped significantly all of our prices just for we have also specialized low cost classes. So even if you're like, I don't even know if this is something I really want to do, just go take some free classes. Can't hurt. You know, if nothing else, you're going to learn something and maybe have a fun time and get some laughter, but training for sure. And then it will also then tell you, is this something that I really am passionate about? And if the answer is yes, then go full speed ahead. And if the answer is no, or maybe you just like to do it for fun, that's also okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, Lauren. I know it's like sometimes an elephant in the room when it comes to, you know, parents and talent thinking about pulling in a team, pulling in all these elements.
Mm-hmm.
Do have some cost or investment associated with them. So not asking you to necessarily, you know, pick a number, but can we give the viewers some idea what range, if someone, now obviously a manager and a manager and an agent aren't working off of a retainer. So what kind of percentages would a parent expect to get from any agency or management firm out there? How does that work? I guess, how does cost and investment work on that side?
Are you asking about what the percentage, if you book a job, if what they take, or?
No, if they got secured by an agency, when they're shopping, when they're looking for the right agency, how does payment structure work? How does that work?
No payments.
Yeah,
What?
we don't get paid anything unless they book. Yeah. So
Right.
And that's a no-brainer for us, but some in the audience might not know that.
Oh yeah, it made my heart skip a beat. I'm like, no, don't do that. Like I said,
Yeah, we strictly work with commissions. So if your child does not work for 10 years, we don't make a penny. If your child does work, depending on what the deal is and who you're being placed with, most agencies get commission between 10 to 20%, 20% for print, 10% for off-SAG and union projects.
Yeah.
And management goes between 10 and 15%, depending on how much work it is and what your level is at this point.
So that's perfect. That's super helpful. Obviously, we know that within the industry, but it's just helpful for everyone listening to understand that.
Never pay up front.
Never.
No, never pay up front, no.
But compared to someone like Tom or Andre, where that's a retainer, so
right.
or Lauren
Yes.
is paid for her services. So you have different representatives with different pay structure.
Mhm.
Right. So publicists typically, maybe you can explain that, Tom, do work off of a retainer.
Yes, that's correct. So typically speaking, it can go one of two ways. If we are representing a studio, for example, they may want to hire us for 3 to 6 month period to work on a production, at which point they can either pay us per month or they can pay us a lump sum. If we were working with an actor or if we were working with an influencer, for example, we'd be looking at a monthly retainer based upon the amount of work that's required from us. The cost can vary, obviously, because if someone's just starting out, they're not going to have access to thousands and thousands of dollars. So we try and be quite open and quite amenable, and we tend to only really work with people we really want to work with, we believe we can do a lot of good with, and who we feel speaks the same language as us in terms of what it is they're trying to get out from this and what they're trying to put out into the world.
Excellent. So that's helpful. So it does.
I would like to just say that there are many out there who are not reputable,
Yes.
who will say, if I will manage or represent you, agent, manager, whatever they want to give them their title as, say, if you give me 600 or 500, that is somebody you should run away
Yep.
from.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody
Yeah,
who's
definitely.
maybe, you can speak to that a little bit, Michelle, too. Yeah, anybody who's offering publicist services for free or next to nothing in the hundreds of dollars like that, or a service, something's wrong.
Right.
Walk away very, very quickly. If in my experience, if something is too good to be true, it usually is. And if
Right.
anyone comes to you promising they can get you on a CW show, if someone promises you they can get you in Vanity Fair, walk away, because no one can guarantee that. No one can promise that. They can do their best. You can hire a great publicist who'll do their best. Same with the casting agent, same with the manager. They will do their best for you if they really believe in you. But just because you're giving them money doesn't mean that they can guarantee you anything. And if they say they can, walk away.
Yes, very good. Let me hit a couple points before we have to wrap up here. So Tom, a lot of people think a publicist just gets you into red carpet events. That's people's outside. Is that true?
No, fortunately not. No, I wish that were the case. No, our job is primarily to get you in the media. It's primarily to start building a media profile. PR will not make you famous. The job of a publicist isn't necessarily to make you famous. Job of a publicist is to introduce you to journalists, to an extent to influencers, to help develop your brand, so that when you come back around with the next project, they already know who you are. We can expand upon that. We can get bigger coverage. We can get better coverage. And it means that you develop this reputation as someone who's very dependable, someone who is consistently working, who's consistently trying. People don't want to see flash in the pan. They want to see consistency. They want to see you keep coming back. And at the same time, they want to see you succeed. There is this kind of sense that we're kind of a crueler society these days, but ignoring the Schadenfreude, at the end of the day, people want to see you succeed. No one wants to see you fail.
Yes, so that's good. I had another thought in there and it's gone. But
I actually want to
keep you relevant.
Can I add?
Keeping you relevant.
I think the same thing has to do with casting directors. You know, when you walk into the room and you're showing your face, they're on your side. They want you to succeed. They want you to like nail the scene, because then they could present you to the producers, the directors, and that role is cast. So you know, they're never feel like they're judging you or anything like that. They're your friends and they're there to help you.
Yes, very good. So just really quickly to you, Lauren, more of a comment, but even though there are free seminars and classes, there are still some very worthwhile ones that do require some investment and cost on the individual's part, but that's worth it. I guess what I'm saying is we have all these elements. Some are commissions, some are paid services, but they are very valuable and helpful in moving a client's career forward.
Sure, it's an investment in yourself, right? I mean, it's an investment in your training, and so that you can be competitive against all the competition out there. I'm actually teaching a summer camp at the end of July that's going to focus. I mean, I love this whole panel because these are the things that I talk about in my classroom all the time. And so, you know, if you're not, and look, if you don't have that kind of money, there are free ways and low cost ways to do it. But this is also an industry that costs money to get into it. So it's also something that you may have to budget. If you're a teenager and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at home, I can't go anywhere, that's fine. Do your school plays. There's gonna be an acting studio or something around you. And now in the new times, we have Zoom. So there's classes everywhere for you, but you can do the small things until you can make a move or make a change on your own. And that may take some time, and that's okay too. But you're, depending on where you live in the country or the world, if you're not close to a big market, it can sometimes feel frustrating and challenging. And I understand that, but there are ways that you can still be involved that may not cost a lot of money, and then also put strain on your family to say, well, we're just going to move to Los Angeles. That's also a huge
Oh yeah, that's a can of worms too. Now, especially with things changing. Let me hit one more element we haven't hit, and that's Michelle Koshman with, she's one of the executive producers for the Young Artist Academy. What's the value of award shows? I know we work with the Emmys.
Yeah, I'll try to do this pretty quickly here. So I think a lot of people not in the entertainment industry think it's about people patting each other on the back and that recognition, which there is some of that element. But inside the industry, it's a big mover. So for one thing, everyone would go to the Oscars, even if they weren't nominated, for a reason. Why? Because you're in proximity with the best players of your industry. So award shows give you that proximity, those contacts that might otherwise be unavailable. It gives you negotiating power for their agents and managers. This is an optimal example, but Jennifer Lawrence made $500,000 for the first Hunger Games installment. She won an Academy Award for Silver Linings Playbook, and the next Hunger Games installment, she was paid $6 million and $7 million. It was the Hunger Games, but that recognition from the industry gave her reps negotiating power. It also teaches you how the industry works. So you can Google a lot of things, or you can get in proximity with industry people, and you learn what is appropriate behavior. You learn how to defer to your agent, your manager, your publicist. So until you can be an Emmy member, a Grammy member, an Oscar member, participate in whatever guilds you can, whether it's Producers Guild, Directors Guild, Young Artist Academy, Television Academy. Get into circles of your field and your discipline.
Right. So it is worth it to be members of some of these guilds, and it is worth it to submit for an award, especially when's the next project going to come around that you're going to have a chance to do that. So take advantage of any little fire.
Two more things, Andre, I'd like to throw in there is that it becomes a dignified platform to get yourself in front of other experts. So when you submit for any award show, their panel of judges or their nomination pool is usually other industry experts that you'd like to know, but it'd be wildly inappropriate to just show up in their office. So when you submit that for a nomination, they're seeing it, and then the industry recognized awards have peer voting. So then you're also in front of your peers, and that, to Tom's earlier point, defers anyone who says, oh, I can win you a this or that. The recognized industry awards are done by peer voting.
Excellent.
So it's not important to just go to some function and walk the red carpet when you don't have a brand. There are a lot of film festivals and organizations that put on events, and actors want to walk the red carpet. But what for? They're not established brands. They haven't gotten with a publicist to grow that brand. So I tell actors, train until you're so good that the casting director fights for you in the audition. Secondly, watch the projects that you do. Make sure there's a quality there. So when you go out to be promoted to other casting directors and producers and studios. They recognize the quality of the work that you're doing, and they can look at the video stuff that you've done and say, wow, you're someone we want to recognize, we want to do business with. The most important thing in teenagers in training is to become very good at what you are doing at your level. And then eventually someone will see you, the casting director, the producer, the director, even a publicist may take note of your work and may want to be a part of your team because you have such professionalism and your quality. This is about quality. This is not just about getting in the business and I want to be on TV. This is like being a skilled performer. It is one of the last ways of talking to our society and generation. They don't hardly listen to the teachers anymore. They don't listen to the parents anymore. They don't listen to authorities. But the actor who is on screen can carry weight in their performance if they do it well.
Sure.
Just leave the activism alone and let when people come into the movie theater or see you on television or wherever they may see you on the platform, let them see you as the various characters. That's my point with actors. A lot of times when we read actors, we're looking at what do they bring to the table. And I'm looking for that needle. When I read George Clooney, my producer said to me, well, I don't know, we should hire. I said, he's the best actor in the movie we got. And now the rest is history.
Right.
Hey, we can do a part 2, part 3, and part 4 at another time. There's so much to say when it comes to the industry, but at least this has given some of the folks a little bit of a preview or an inside look at if they're thinking about moving from maybe the influencer world or just the outside world into show business. So beautiful job. I want to thank each and every one of you. You guys are amazing. And I want to thank Laura and ENTbash. And if you'd like to know more information about the Young Artist Academy, please visit youngartistacademy.org. So thank you very much. And now we're going to take a short break. Back to Laura.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have fun, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.